Hello friends, today I'm gardening with Creekside. We are going to go ahead and look ahead at 2025. I know that Thanksgiving is literally knocking on the door. It is lovely and chilly and fallish, but it is never too early to begin planning your garden for next year. What we're going to do today is we are going to be focusing on those annuals that love the shade to part shade conditions. Of course, we are a grower here at Creekside Nursery. You can come to the garden center and shop to your heart's content, or if you're not close by, of course, we offer these same plants online. The online store is now accepting pre-orders for 2025. What does that mean? It means that you can go ahead and order your plants now. We will hold them until it is appropriate for your growing zone to receive those plants. So if you're in a zone 9, you're going to receive those nice and early in the spring. If you're a zone 4, you're going to receive those later. Go ahead and head on over to the website and place your pre-order for these fantastic shade annuals. Now, all of these that I am sharing with you today are ones that are tried and true in our garden that I have used for years. So we are focusing on shade gardens. What is a shade garden? A shade garden is a spot that receives 4 hours or less of sun. A part sun, part shade, really kind of the same thing, receives in that 5, maybe 6 hours or less of sun. These all will be great annuals to put in there that are going to give you color, structure, and yes, flowers for your shadier conditions. These are in no particular order, but I love them all. Now, first, we have a whole series, the Rocka Puos Double Impatiens. These are most definitely going to be your shade flowering annuals. The Rocka Puos are great because they have a nice mounded habit to them and they come in a wide range of colors. They are going to be a double flower. For the longest time when we first started growing these, people actually thought they were like a little mini rose because they have such a sweet, delicate double bloom on them and that nice mounded habit, dark green leaves on them. And whether you want to have a nice soft pink and apple blossom, or you want to have more bold colors like the purple or the fuchsia, you absolutely can have that. I have done these both in the landscape and in containers. Hanging baskets, they work in all of those conditions. Once your impatiens get established, they tend to be on the little bit of that drought tolerant side, even here in North Carolina in zone 8A, because they are a shade plant. They'll need a little bit of consistent water, but again, once you get them established, they're not going to be heavy feeders and they're not going to be water hogs. You saw me just, a week, 2 ago, that I went ahead and removed those Rocka Puos out of the sign bed when you come into the nursery. So they have an extremely long growing season. Beautiful color. Beautiful habit. You are going to love those Rocka Puos no matter what color it is that you want to have in your garden. One of my all-time favorites. I will forever have this in my shade garden. Endless Illumination Broalia. This is a beautiful mounded plant that has these nice big star-shaped flowers. Whether you want to call them blue or purple, it all depends on how you see it. But this Endless Illumination has, like I said, that nice mounded habit. I adore it because it stays, while it does get, on the larger side in that 10 to 12 inches, it is not going to overtake the garden. It doesn't get leggy. It stays nice and tight and compact and continues to have those really nice big star-shaped flowers with a kind of has a little bit of a white eye to it in the center of it. It is just a classic that works amazing in my shade gardens. If you know our gardens, you know that I don't have very many shade gardens. I have a lot of sun. So when I do have my shade gardens, I really like to fill them up with lots of color. Endless Illumination gives me that great color without the fuss, right? The bugs don't like it. I've never had a problem with Japanese beetles on them. Slugs, snails really tend to leave them alone. Aphids don't bother them. And they're a moderate feeder. I may use water-soluble fertilizer on my Endless Illumination maybe 3 times during the season. So they are definitely not going to be divas in the garden, but they are going to be high performers that you are absolutely going to love. Proven Winners has the heart-to-heart caladiums. If you have heat and humidity and you do not have caladiums in your shade garden, you are missing out. The heart-to-heart caladiums are going to be that perfect example of you do not have to have flowers to have color in your garden. I have used caladiums for years, both in the landscape, in hanging baskets, in pots, in hay racks. Whatever kind of application you want to use those caladiums in, this is going to be the plant for you. They do thrive in the heat and humidity. So when you're in North Carolina, the Southeast, and you have those hot, sticky nights, your caladiums are going to thrive. They don't like to have conditions really kind of lower than 50 degrees. They'll kind of stop growing for a little bit. So the heat of the summer and the humidity here in the South is perfect for your caladiums. You can get them in a wide range of colors, whether you want whites or pinks or reds. There even is a purple one that you can add to your garden. Very easy to take care of, very easy to add. They will bring some height to your garden. And I actually, if you remember, this past year, I paired the heart-to-heart caladiums with another favorite of mine is the Double Delight Apple Blossom Begonia. The Double Delight Apple Blossom Begonia, that is a mouthful, is going to have more of like a little bit of a mounded but trailing habit to it. This is one of the newer introductions from Proven Winners. It is a nice, soft, pale pink that has these gorgeous, massive blooms on them that do tend to have that little bit of that trailing habit to them. On the tag, they will say that these are sun to part sun. I have found with my heat and humidity that they do like and more prefer to have those shadier conditions. So they absolutely can do the morning sun. They just cannot handle the hot afternoon sun here in the South. If you're in Michigan or you're in New Hampshire, then I am sure that you could do full sun on these guys and they would handle it without a problem. But if you do have hot, sticky conditions in your garden, especially at night, then I would really encourage you to put these in the shade, especially in the afternoon, because you're going to get those gorgeous flowers on them without the burn. They're perfect for your containers because they have that kind of that trailing habit to them. You absolutely can put them in the landscape. I personally just prefer them in a container so that I can see all of those beautiful balloons. Now, if you do not like the apple blossom, maybe that's just not your color, then I would encourage you to look at the Double Delight Primrose Begonia. The Primrose is a beautiful, soft yellow. Again, stunning begonia. You think begonias, you may think of your grandmother's begonias. Honey, these are not your grandmother's begonias. Things have changed and these are gorgeous plants. Same thing. On the tag, it'll say sun to part sun. It all depends on where you live. If you're in the South like me, morning sun, definitely need the afternoon sun. You will literally see these begonias melt if they get too much hot afternoon sun. That Double Delight Primrose, again, another, that's why they're called that, the Double Delight. They're a double bloom, beautiful, nice, soft yellow flowers that will pair beautifully with other shades of colors, whether you want to do it with the Endless Illumination or you want to do it with something else. Gorgeous begonias in that Double Delight series. I'm a huge fan of plants that can do sun or shade. Versatility is fantastic. So we have a couple of these plants that will give you gorgeous color for your part shade garden. They can work in the sun too, but today we're focusing on the shade. First, Color Blaze Coleus. Now your Color Blaze Coleus can come in a huge range of colors. If you want something near black, you go with Newly Noir. If you want a nice pop of color, brightness, maybe you go with Lime Time, a beautiful chartreuse color. Maybe you want that chartreuse color, but you don't need a 3-foot coleus by the end of the season. Well, then you're going to want to get the new one, the Color Blaze Mini Me Chartreuse. These coleuses can do anything from full sun to shade. They're going to have that gorgeous color. You'll get a little color variation whether you put the same plant in sun or shade, but they thrive in both of those conditions. The Mini Me Chartreuse stays nice and petite. You have Mini Me Chartreuse and then you have Mini Me Watermelon. Maybe you want a little splash of red in your garden. The Color Blazes are going to be great. If you do need that height in your garden, just go for the traditional Color Blaze, right? Because they're going to get, by the end of the season, some nice height to them. The more you kind of pinch back your coleus throughout the season, maybe you do it once every 2 or 3 weeks, right? just pinching him back a little bit provides a nice tight compact plant, which is great. Maybe you say, well, Jenny, I want that color, but I want something that trails. Well, those are the drops. You've got several in the drop family. You've got chocolate drop, strawberry drop, cherry drop. I think there's 3. I believe there's 3. But these are actually trailing coleus. And at first I was like, a coleus that trails? Yes, they do. Yes, they'll get a little bit of height to them and then they trail over. You can use this as a ground cover, my friends. You don't have to have it in a container. You absolutely can, or a hanging basket. They're stunning. But you can also use it as a ground cover. So if you need that low growing, beautiful color to it, but that covers the ground, then try out those drop series. So love, love, love the Color Blaze coleus for your shade garden. Back to begonias. Y'all, I'm a huge fan of begonias because they are easy. They're not divas. They just perform their heads off, and they are so stinking easy to have in your garden. They give you beautiful color. 1, the Surefire begonias. There are 4 in that series. So whether you want white, red, rose, or the cherry cordial, you're going to have colors that will fit into your color scheme in the garden. Your Surefires are going to get a little bit of height to them in that 12 to 18 inches, probably in that range. And then they have a nice kind of a wide habit to them as well. So they're going to be have a nice kind of a height presence in your garden. Gorgeous colors to them, no fuss, easy. Also with begonias, keep this in mind. Maybe you have pets. Maybe you have small children, or maybe you just have a crazy wild life. And sometimes your plants get broken. Maybe a kid walks through it, or your dog runs through your flower bed. With your begonias, if that happens and they get snapped off, don't worry. They will come back stronger and stockier and more compact than ever. So if it happens, do not worry. Again, they are not divas. They can take a licking and keep on ticking, as they used to say. So you can use those. If the Surefires are going to be too big for you, or you just want a different look to them, try the double ups. I use the double up begonias all the time in the garden. Again, I have more sun, so they tend to be more in the sun garden for me. But with those double ups, you have got the red, the white, and the pink. These are going to have more of a compact mounded habit to them. The flowers on them are smaller, but they're double and they're more prolific than your Surefires. You get a gorgeous display. It's just a completely different look. You could absolutely use both the Surefires for your height and that color, along with the double ups in your garden. Super easy. And because they are that wax begonia, I can also attest that they are rabbit resistant. If you followed along with us this past summer, you know that I had some rabbit woes in part of my garden, and where they were eating other plants, they literally left the wax begonias alone, both the Surefires and the double ups. So that's a great thing to think about for your shade garden. If rabbits are a problem, I can attest that as soon as I planted them, they completely left them alone. We're still nibbling on some other things, but they left the begonias alone. So you can have those in your garden. Also, I know the tag says maybe sun to part sun, but do not forget about the diamond Euphorbias. There are 3 in that series. These do fantastic in those shade to part shade gardens. Depending on what the look that you're going for will depend on which diamond that you want in your garden. Diamond Mountain gets the biggest, right? So given its name, it has a bigger presence. It's going to be taller, very light, very airy look to it. It pairs beautifully with those Surefires. They'll mingle in together with each other. So your mountain is going to be your biggest. Then you have Diamond Frost. Diamond Frost has the exact same look of mountain, but it's shorter. When you go to the garden center, or if you order online and I send you a Diamond Mountain and a Diamond Frost, you may look at those two and you're like, this is the exact same plant. Because when they're small in those grande size cups, they look the exact same. Once they start growing in your landscape or containers, then that's where you're going to see the difference. Mountain gets bigger, Frost stays a little bit smaller, but they have both have a very light, open, airy look to them. And then last but certainly not least, you have Diamond Snow. Diamond Snow is a tighter, compact habit, and I tell people if you want a big pop of white, then go with Snow. Still has about the same size, mature size of Diamond Frost, but it's just a much tighter plant, and the blooms are closer together and more prolific, and they're just a little bit bigger. So that gives you that really solid solid pop of white, as opposed to frost, which is very light and very airy. So the Diamond series of Euphorbias, amazing in the landscape, in containers, in hanging baskets. You can use them in a wide range of conditions as far as growing them, and whether you need some sun or you need some shade, these are great for those shade gardens as well. If you are looking for another kind of a fun, very kind of light, elegant look for your garden, I want to introduce you to Pink Chablis Lamian. Maybe you're familiar with Lamian and maybe you're not, but the Pink Chablis is going to be a beautiful, soft, silver and gray leaf to it, and it really is a soft plant. You can use this as a ground cover, or if you put it in a container in a hanging basket, it's going to have that trailing habit to them. Pink Chablis gets its name because it does beautiful, soft, baby doll pink blooms on it, and it is a great option for your shade garden. Again, I believe on the tag it says it can do sun or shade. I typically use it in my shade garden because I like to have it as a ground cover underneath my camellias. So my Japonica camellia, the white by the gate, I love having that Pink Chablis underneath there because it brings that silver look to my shade garden, which brings a little bit of lightness, brightness to the garden. And then when you have those gorgeous pink flowers on it, it is fantastic. Depending on where you are, Lamian actually may be a perennial for you. I know that the Pink Chablis, we sell it as an annual, but on the tag and for our growing zone here in North Carolina at Zone 8A, it is going to be a perennial. So check out that growing zone and see if that's compatible with you. So you may get a double bang for your buck when you add that Pink Chablis Lamian to your shade garden. Also, I've got one more begonia for you, right? The Selenia Yellow. I love the Selenia series, and I think, well, it's hard to say. It's like asking who's your favorite child. But there are several colors within that Selenia series, and these, again, can do those shadier conditions. It can do the full sun. I've had it in the deck boxes, and it's done really well. But it can also go into more of a shade garden. Beautiful, nice, more compact habit. It's not going to have that trailing habit as much as like your Double Delights. Beautiful color. So if you want that soft yellow, you go for the Selenia Yellow. If you want a nice, really gorgeous red, then there is that Selenia Red that has like a deep ruby color to it. And then there's an orange one. There's all sorts of colors within that series. These are going to be really fun and nice to add either directly to your landscape or your containers. Notice there is a versatility in all of these annuals that I'm sharing with you. They do great in the landscape and in containers. So we're looking for versatility and ease because we want to keep it simple, sweetie. We don't need divas in the garden. And then last but not least, Trina. Don't know if you're familiar with Trina. It is a gorgeous flower. It's also known as a wishbone, right? Because it has these massive, gorgeous blooms on it that your pollinators go absolutely nuts over. It does have more of that trailing habit. So if you want to put it in a container, absolutely. You put it in there and it is absolutely covered in flowers. Or if you want to use it as a ground cover, you can do that. I have used both like white linen and then like the large amethyst in my gardens for those ground cover applications. Like even I just used them this past year in underneath my roses. Now, yes, that was in a sun garden, but they will do the exact same thing in your shade garden. So maybe you want some flowers coming in and amongst your hostas or your brunnera or your ferns. Go ahead and grab a couple of those Trinias and pop them in to your shade areas in your landscape because they're going to give that blanket carpet of these beautiful flowers that your pollinators will actually love to come to and visit your shade garden. Very, very easy. Again, I didn't have any problems with Japanese beetles on these. I don't think I had Japanese beetles on any of these shade plants. And if you're in the South and you or anywhere that you deal with those Japanese beetles, you know that that's kind of a big deal if plant bugs do not like those plants. So that's always a plus for me when the Japanese beetles don't like them. So hopefully this has been helpful with picking out some of your annuals for your shade gardens, because sometimes I think shade gardens don't get the love and attention that those sun gardens get, because it seems like the sun gardens get all the fun with all the massive color and bright, beautiful flowers. Shade gardens can do it too. It absolutely can be done. You just have to look a little harder. And then there's these great series from Proven Winners that have multiple colors in that series that you can choose to put in your garden. So again, I hope you have found this helpful. We will continue to have this series highlighting different annuals for different applications. So if there's something that you're looking for, I know that deer resistant, rabbit resistant, drought tolerant, pollinators, all of those have been some great topics that you have asked for, so we will be doing those. If there is another topic that you would like to look at with your annuals, please let me know and we will make sure to highlight that for you. If you are not signed up for our emails and text messages with Creekside, I would highly encourage you to do that, wink, 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 because we have got some great deals headed your way this holiday season. The only way you're going to know about it is if you are signed up for the emails and text messages. I will have a link for you. You can just click on that. Send us over your email address, and that way you can get onto our newsletter and get notifications for all of these great holiday deals that are headed your way very soon. Y'all have an amazing day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.